This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Hey everybody, it is the After Party live on this Memorial Day holiday. However you are observing it, I hope it is a good day for you and a day full of remembrance of the people who have given their lives so that we could have this country, which is in such peril right now. But it is a party, and we've talked about Memorial Day on the Mark Thompson Show, and so we'll move forward with some interesting stories that I think might entertain us a little bit. I know the group is probably a little smaller today because of the holiday, so thank you for being here and joining me live for the After Party. I figured we could use a little place just to chill out and relax together. If you could click the like button, I would appreciate it. Also, thank you to everyone who has contributed to the After Party Live and who truly and honestly helps keep this show going and helps me keep doing what I really love to do. So huge thank you to all the contributors to the After Party Live. Find the PayPal information if you're so inclined in the show description and also in the About tab here on YouTube. Where are we again? That's right. All right. Let's kick it. Start in with this story about graduation. It's interesting because as someone who has worked in a newsroom, I take pronunciation very seriously. And I'll look at a name. If it's not like easily off the bat, like say Thomas Peters or something like that, right? Then I'll practice it, maybe ask around, look at the phonetics, try to make sure I get it right. In a case like a graduation where you have an announcer for the names, they should probably look at it ahead of time, make sure there's, nothing that stands out. Which is what makes this story so wild to me. I don't know if you've seen this, but in honor of graduation week, I just have to share it with you. This is a story from CNN about this woman who decided to use only the phonetic pronouncers instead of looking first at the names, because sometimes it's going to be obvious and you don't need the phonetic pronouncers. All right. Well, let's take a look at this. Oh, is this the right one? I don't think it is. Sorry about that. I wanted to share this with you, this story from CNN, because, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Here they go.
Never have so many names been so butchered, even easy ones like Victoria Elizabeth Bruce.
Victoria Lee Zubeth Ross.
Butchered
What?
John Mission, be it Megan.
Ejinlu Iabri.
Or Allison.
Alisuna Cole Bishop.
And how can you mangle Molly?
Marlena Zobeth Camp.
The announcer at Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia was reading off phonetically spelled names on cards. But how hard is it to pronounce Thomas? For the record, Thomas, can you state your full name for us?
Thomas Michael Canaveri Jr.
Thomas was the first College of Nursing grad to actually correct the mispronunciation.
Thomas.
Thomas, the name of our school, Thomas Jefferson University.
Thomas says at first it felt like a slap in the face.
Thomas.
And she never even said my last name at all.
But now that the video has gone viral,
I just cannot stop thinking of laughing about it. I'll never forget that day for as long as I live.
neither will Sarah Virginia Brennan.
Sayer Uvun Jean Ju.
Look at their face.
Instagram posted a new degree and name. Thanks, I guess. The announcer apologized. So did Thomas Jefferson University, saying each graduate deserves to have their name honored correctly. But for now, Thomas is AKA Tamume.
That's my new nickname all my friends have gave me.
And when Thomas congratulated his new friend,
Sayer
He addressed her and signed off with their new names.
Tom Multmay,
Ginny Mose, CNN, New York.
Thomas.
I mean, what? I don't know how you could screw it up that bad and for so long before someone taps you on the shoulder and says, I think you need to not look at the phonetic pronunciations. No. Okay. Oh, how embarrassing. Let's talk about Slingshot Guy. How crazy is this story? It's one of these, this should probably be a law and disorder, but I'm so flabbergasted by this that I feel like I have to do this story right now at this very moment. This is a guy from Southern California who for the last decade has been flinging things at his neighbors' homes and cars via slingshot. They call this 81-year-old man a serial slingshot shooter, and finally he's been arrested. He was arrested during a search warrant being served on Thursday after authorities determined he'd been hitting residential windows, denting car windshields, making close calls with people in his neighborhood in Azusa. It's about 20 miles or so from Los Angeles. So the police in this area started investigating what they called a quality of life issue that had been affecting residents along North Enid Avenue for a long time. Victims were being hit or having their property hit for the 9 to 10 years. This man's name is Prince King. When police served a search warrant at Prince King's home, they say they found ball bearings and a slingshot at the property. They said most of the ball bearings were being launched from his backyard. Others, though, were being hurled from a nearby neighborhood. And they said it's been ongoing for this many years because they just couldn't identify who the suspect was. And they say they still can't figure out what the reason for this vandalism is, or why certain people or properties were targeted. They don't know. They said they don't have a motive other than just malicious mischief. So Prince King was booked at the Los Angeles County Jail without bail. He's expected to appear in court tomorrow. Can you believe that? An 81-year-old guy who's wreaking havoc on this neighborhood. Wild. I can't imagine in my 80s that that's what I choose to do. But okay, sir, enjoy your 80s in jail, I guess. I have a couple of alligator stories for you. And the first one, kind of about this alligator that has been caught in Georgia. And here is the story. If I can play it for you.
If they want to bring them out here and let them touch it, they can. We got him under control if you want. Yeah, I think you want to pet it, you can pet it.
No, I don't want to pet it.
Police in Chatham County, Georgia, caught this alligator in a driveway on Thursday evening.
You want him tired out. You don't want to jump on him, but he's got a bunch of spunk in him.
Officers wrangled the reptile into a patrol car before releasing it back into the wild.
I would think that putting the tape on is one thing. Taking that tape off would be a little more tricky. I don't know. Just a thought. Here's another alligator story for you. This one, though, you can't see the picture of the alligator. That's because this gator escaped. He's a tiny little one. And this happened in Kansas, at a Missouri middle school, rather. So authorities in Missouri, they're searching for this tiny gator that got out of a petting zoo exhibit that was set up at this Kansas City middle school. The KC Pet Project says this alligator, 14 inches long, was last seen about 11 a.m. on Thursday at Lakeview Middle School. There was a third-party company hired to set up this petting zoo because they were having this big end-of-year celebration, right? Officers searched the school and the surrounding grounds for several hours, but they can't find it. They say they're concerned for the safety of the alligator because when they last spotted this little one, it had its mouth taped shut. They said it could fit in your hand, that's how small it is. But its mouth is taped shut, so the biggest concern is it can't fend for itself. Officials also say the school didn't get the proper animal show permit before they arranged for this petting zoo to be on campus. The KC Pet Project Animal Services Division is committed to public safety, which is why permits are required for these kinds of events, they say. So, yeah, the school's busted. The alligator's mouth is taped shut. It's a big mess there. I mean, I get wanting to celebrate at the end of the year, but wanting to bring these creatures in, I don't know who had this great idea. Speaking, though, of animals in trouble, the Aquarium of the Bay at Pier 39 in San Francisco, not sure if you saw this story in SF Gate, they're in a bit of a pickle. The CEO has been, I don't know, I guess we'll say, has stepped down, has resigned, probably should have been sacked, but okay. There have been mass resignations here because of poor morale, because of financial issues, a lot of reasons. The Aquarium of the Bay lost its accreditation with the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, so things have been going downhill. This Aquarium of the Bay opened in 1996. It was called Underwater World then. And then in 2001, they started calling it Aquarium of the Bay. There are about 24,000 marine animals here. They've got river otters, they've got sharks, they've got stingrays. So there's a lot of creatures depending on this place to remain solvent. The CEO, George Jacob, had a bit of spending issue, I guess. They say his spending habits prompted the board to ask for his resignation. They say he was lavishly spending on travel and events, and that included $460,000 for a climate awareness concert that he hosted in Dubai. And he did it, allegedly, even as the aquarium was struggling to survive. So how you could take $460,000 for this summit across the world when you don't even have enough money to make sure the animals and the people that you've hired are taken care of properly, I could see why people are checking out. Friday, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums Accreditation Commission pulled the accreditation from the Aquarium of the Bay. They said it wasn't meeting standards in a number of areas, and that includes financial stability, staffing capabilities, employee morale, and turnover. They offered the commission offered the Aquarium of the Bay opportunities to give them more evidence to comply, and they say they failed to do so. So it's still open, I believe, although I don't know how much longer it can stay open without accreditation. They have some time to turn things around, but now they don't have a CEO, and I don't know what their funding is like. So this tourist, it's really an area for tourists, I would say, at Pier 39, although I've seen some field trips here to this aquarium as well, and I would hate to see anything bad to the animals happen there, so I hope they are able to make it all work. I don't know if you saw this one. This is kind of something that I don't know if you, and a distinction that you want. It's about Madonna tattoos, and there's a fan who has earned a world record because she's got 18 tattoos of Madonna. 18. Her name is Tara Berry. She's from Topeka, Kansas, and she is now the proud holder of a Guinness World Record for the most tattoos of the same musician on the body, a female body. She takes the title from a British woman who has 15 tattoos of Eminem on her body. I mean, you really gotta love somebody, right? Barry said she got her first Madonna tattoo in 2016, when she heard the singer was looking for tattooed fans to appear in a music video. But she didn't get it in time to make the cut. So she gets a Madonna tattoo and she doesn't end up in the video. Most of the tattoos, she said, were over a 6-month period. She said, I already had 2 Madonna portrait tattoos when I read about the person that had the Guinness Records title at that time with 15 M&M tattoos. So she said, I decided that night I was going to go for the record, and I contacted the artist and he said, what the hell? Let's do it. She had the images that she picked to put on her body of Madonna span the career. So there's the recreation of the kiss, that famous kiss between Madonna and Britney Spears at the MTV Video Music Awards, all kinds of things. She said altogether for these tattoos, she probably paid almost 10 grand. $9,800 is what she estimates. She said a lot of people ask her if they can take pictures of and video of her arms. And to pay for all these tattoos, she said, I begged, borrowed, worked out deals, anything to move forward in this process. Well, she really wanted this record, and now she's got it. There you go. The most tattoos of a recording artist on one person's body. Okay. I'm telling you, I mean, every time you look in the mirror, it's Madonna looking back at you. This probably should have gone in the animal category, but you recognize this dog? He's Doge. I don't know how you say it. The kind of the mascot for Dogecoin. His name is Kabosu, and he's a Shiba Inu that inspired the Doge meme and then became the face of Dogecoin. He died at the age of 18. That's a pretty long life for a dog. And he had some sickness at the end of his life. He had been suffering from leukemia and liver disease. So the owner says, thank you for all your support over the years. This dog went very peacefully without suffering, as if falling asleep while feeling the warmth of my hands petting her. So, and she said, thank you so much to everyone for loving Kabosu all of these years. So that's nice. This woman, Miss Sato, is a teacher in Japan, adopted Kabosu when she was sent to an animal shelter after her puppy mill was shut down. And then in 2010, a photo of her with her paws crossed and the slight smirk that she has was found on the internet and then went viral and became this internet sensation on Reddit and Tumblr. A Reddit user was the one to refer to her as Doge, an intentional misspelling of dog. So then she became popular in 2013 as a Comic Sans text overlaying the picture that said, wow, so scare, or what are you doing? And then in 2021, it's the Dogecoin. She becomes the face of Dogecoin. So yes, this dog has passed away. But I think there are probably enough images of her that we'll be seeing her face still. Here's a health story for you about the HPV vaccine. And usually when we think about this, it's in connection with women and girls and getting, teenage girls this vaccine to prevent the possibility of cervical cancer. But this story is about cancers in men. And a new study suggests that this vaccine is also saving men from fatal cancers as well. That's right. Men who got this vaccine, typically as boys, saw their odds for HPV-linked cancers cut in half. This information and data will be presented at an upcoming meeting of the American Society of Clinical Oncology in June. Tumors in men known to be related to HPV infection include cancers of the head and neck, and the genital regions as well. The overall rate for these cancers among vaccinated men, 7.5 cases per 100,000 men. But the rate fell to 3.4 cases among 100,000 men who'd been vaccinated. That's a pretty significant decrease. The biggest declines were seen in the prevention of male head and neck cancers, 2.8 cases per 100,000 versus 6.3 in unvaccinated patients. And the researchers here say they've known the HPV vaccine decreases rates of oral HPV infection, but this study shows that in boys and men in particular, vaccination decreases the risk of HPV-related oropharyngeal head and neck cancers. HPV vaccination is cancer prevention, according to the Cancer for Center Therapeutic Innovation at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in Boston. So here's the current guidelines, just in case you're looking at who should be getting this vaccine, although I would say it's never too late. Children routinely vaccinated against HPV at the age of 11 or 12, although it can be done as early as age 9. They say that HPV is responsible for the vast majority of cervical cancers, and so this is why the focus has really been on girls and women. But the researchers and experts in this field have known for a long time that boys and men can also be affected by HPV-linked cancers of the mouth, throat, head, neck, anus, and penis as they age. So, this research was led by Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia. And again, it's the findings are being presented at an oncology conference next month. So they also, in addition to finding that the cancer rates are nearly halved for young men and older men, the study affirmed that vaccination also cut women's odds for HPV-related cancers. I think we knew that, but here are the numbers anyway in their study. Women's rate of cervical cancers fell from 10.4 per 100,000 unvaccinated patients to 7.4 cases per 100,000 vaccinated patients. They also had a lower rate for all HPV-linked cancers combined, 15.8 per 100,000 unvaccinated patients versus 11.5 for vaccinated. So they don't know why women didn't get a health benefit from the vaccine in terms of head and neck cancers as well, like men. Not sure what happened with that. But they do say that this data, this study that they've done and the data they've collected adds to the evidence already demonstrating decreased rates of HPV-related cancer among people who get the vaccine. So, once again, makes sense to get the vaccine, I would say. How about this study? You know, I love a good, weird animal study. This is a stick bug. Can you see him in there? There he is. Kind of middle left. Yeah. Stick bugs are cool. Look how they just kind of blend right in. I think that's awesome. Wow. There's a new study that wanted to know if this is a chance or a pattern. The green Timema cristinae morph stick insect, we call him a stick bug, is seen here on this lilac shrub in California. And scientists say they've got more going on the surface of their little bodies than meets the eye. Some species of these bugs can blend in with plants to avoid predators. But the question is how they evolved this camouflage and what specific physical traits have evolved by chance or whether the traits followed a predictable pattern. So a team of scientists checked through data from the last 30 years, and they say they found evidence of repeatable evolution in these stick bugs, and they published their study in the journal Science Advances last week. There's been a question about if given the chance to evolve again, would life on Earth look like something similar to what we know now, or would it look incredibly different? So was it a pattern, or was it just this big chance? The Utah State University evolutionary biologist Zachariah Gompert, the co-author of this study, said if you frame it as an either-or question, it's a little too simple. The answer isn't completely random or completely predictable. But he said if you look at the short time scales, they can find predictable, repeatable evolutionary patterns. For the stick insects and evolutionary activity in general, whether a change occurs by chance or in a reputable sequence is much more nuanced, he says, and it often comes down to time. So the study looked at this stick bug. They're wingless. They're found throughout North America. They have polymorphic body colors and patterns, some of them green, helping them blend into the shrubs around them. Others have green stripes that disappear against similarly patterned shrubs. And hiding amongst the plants like these, apparently a defense against hungry birds, so it helps them escape these predators. Bird predation is a constant driver shaping insects' traits, including coloration and striped versus non-striped, according to Gompert. So he and his team looked through 30 years of data about the frequency of cryptic color patterns in 10 different populations of these stick bugs in California. And they found predictable fluctuations in stripe frequency in all of the insect populations, which they think represents repeated evolutionary dynamics at work. The fluctuations involve a phenomenon of negative frequency dependent natural selection. He said that's when cryptic color patterns like stripes are seen as more beneficial when they're a rarity rather than a common occurrence. And for the stick bugs, it's likely because the birds could develop a better way to search for more abundant prey if they know their patterns. Short time scales, evolution involving existing variations can be very predictable. He said you can count on certain drivers always being there, like birds feeding on the insects. But during a longer time scale, the evolutionary dynamics are less predictable. And the insect populations could experience a chance event, like a drought or a flood, or more predictable outcomes. And at longer time scales, a new mutation in the species could then introduce a random rare trait. So, interesting questions. Interesting little creature as well. Let's talk about the language and the brain. Are you good at language? I'm going to the chat. Who picks things up really easily? Oh, Walter says used to call those walking sticks. Yeah. Yvonne, I hope your patient is doing okay. Your parent is doing okay. Let's see. Who's a good language person? I've always loved language. There are some people that pick up language so quickly, that speak multiple languages, and I don't know where they keep all that information in their brain. When I was in Europe, very briefly for only 1 week because of COVID, I found it fascinating that you go to Europe and most people speak, where I was, English and German and French, multiple languages. And they can switch back and forth with ease, so easily. Well, here comes this story about language and the brain. A new neural implant can translate brain activity in 2 languages. I don't know why I'm not pluralizing that. New data, they say, contradicts the theory that different languages activate separate brain regions. So for a long time, they thought that when you looked at, say, English and Spanish, that those language traits came from different parts of the brain. But this breakthrough bilingual implant, designed by researchers at UCSF, and detailed in this study published this month in Nature Biomedical Engineering, saw that when neuroscientist engineers surgically implanted electrodes into a man's cortex to record neural activity and then translated that information into a corresponding text on a computer screen, at the time, the patient's thoughts could only be turned into English. But the man learned language as an adult after a stroke, and he's far more familiar and attached to his native language, which is Spanish. And apparently, what languages someone speaks are very linked to their identity. That's given, right? And so the long-term goal for the researchers wasn't about replacing words, but about restoring the connection for people. So interesting. It's they call it a breakthrough bilingual implant designed by, again, researchers at UCSF. And the study shows that I'll say they use this artificial intelligence and this predictive modeling to interpret this data. And then they train the program asking their patient to attempt saying about 200 different words while the electrodes transmitted each corresponding neural pattern. And once everything was recorded, they moved on to a bilingual phase. English and Spanish were what they were looking at, each of which attempts to match the neural data of the phrase's first word in their respective language. And then each module selection was accompanied by an estimated of probability of accuracy. The AI program shifted tactics. Instead of repeating the first neural matching step, they predicted the following words based on probability. Interesting. By the end of the study, the new AI modules accurately determined the first word's language 88% of the time, while the finalized sentence choices got a 75% accuracy rate. The data contradicts previous neuroscience studies that suggested separate brain regions are activated depending on a given language. In this case, they say, much of the area-specific activity overlapped for English and Spanish, and that there was evidence the patient's neural activity largely mirrored those of people raised bilingual, despite the fact that this person only learned a second language as an adult. And so this is why researchers believe this could imply languages share some neurological features, in which case future implant translation technology could be more generalizable. While the brain implant advances have so far only been studied in one patient, the team hopes to expand the scope of this research and look for more participants as well. So, interesting study about where language comes from, no matter what the language is that we're using. Here's a story. We've seen this before, and it makes me think, oh, thank you, Yvonne. Yeah, my forehead incident. I feel a lot better. I think I have some blisters. For those of you who missed it on Nikki Maduro's show, I was talking about, let me take the picture down, because I don't know if you guys heard the story. I'll call it the prom steamer incident of 2024. I was trying to steam my daughter's prom dress yesterday, and I had a steamer malfunction, and boiling water went flying all over the kitchen with the end of this hose and got me in the forehead. And some skin came off yesterday, but I think I'm okay. It's going to be all right. Thank you very much for your comment. All right, let's talk about the lottery, because here we go again. Here we go again with this woman who got a fortune cookie. And what did she do? She used the numbers on the fortune to go buy a lottery ticket. She's from Virginia. Her name is Tiara. She used the numbers from inside of her fortune cookie to play Powerball, and she wins 50 grand. She said she always uses the set of numbers she copied from the slip of paper inside of a fortune cookie. So she's used these same fortune cookie numbers over and over again. And she always does this when she plays the Powerball. So she buys a ticket with those numbers from the Verena Superstore supermarket, and she gets this $50,000 prize when she matches 5 of the numbers. She said her good luck almost turned sour when she just about left the ticket behind at the store when she left to take her daughter to the park. But she went right back and was able to retrieve her ticket with help from another customer. Thank goodness, because it turned out to be the winner chicken dinner. Maybe there's something to all these these fortune cookies. Maybe we need to try this. I don't know. It seems like a possibility. This is a story about this roller coaster in the UK. Interesting. This was supposed to be a big to-do, and so many people wanted to try it. It was billed as the tallest roller coaster in the UK, and so people flocked to it. It's called the Hyperia at Thorpe Park, and the day after it opened, it closed. So at 236 feet, it was supposed to be the tallest and the fastest, top speed of 81 miles an hour. Can you imagine? No, thank you. It was open to the public on Friday, but Saturday, the park posted a message on X saying, due to unforeseen circumstances, we are unable to open Hyperia Sunday the 26th through Wednesday the 29th. They apologize for the disappointment. The crowds had flocked to try this new ride opening day. The time waiting in line, 5 hours. That's how many people wanted to try this. So it's unclear whether it had some type of mechanical issue. When you're going 81 miles an hour that high in the air, that's not what you want to hear. Or whether they just didn't quite figure that many people would be coming out, and so they're trying to retool the way they manage this. I don't know, but closed it is. There's this underwater plot in Alameda for sale. Now, when you hear about a plot of land for sale in the Bay Area and $400,000, 10,000 square feet, you think, oh, something under $500,000 in the Bay Area, that sounds pretty good. What is the saying? If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Yeah, well, that's the case here. This is Alameda, here in the Bay Area, right across the bay from San Francisco. This property is for sale. This man bought it without realizing it was underwater. And it is very close to the South Shore Center, shopping center in Alameda. Less than a mile from the beach. $400,000. It's on the market again. It's at $610,000. They say no beds, no baths in SF Gate. It's underwater. One of the neighbors said, "Is this a joke?" And the real estate agent said, "Nope, it's not a joke. Someone bought it and they own it." It was purchased at auction, sight unseen, by its current owner, who's a pastor from San Lorenzo. He hoped to fix it up and flip it. But again, he bought it without looking at it first for about $300,000, which was below asking. But he didn't realize it was underwater until he saw the photographs. So now he's trying to offload it. And it's been on the market for 300 days. Because what are you going to do with this thing? Originally, it was owned by a fruit processor, Arthur Cleveland Oppenheimer. They had a main house, a guest house. They had dog kennels and tennis courts there. But the tidelands were later filled by Utah Construction to create South Shore in the late 1950s, and that put half of this property underwater. Which I would say, if the property is underwater, it's kind of lost, isn't it? I mean, it's not going to be out of water anytime soon. If anything, with climate change, the water's only getting higher and higher. I don't know. I don't see it ever becoming a place where you could build. So the seller says the property is zoned for residential use. But there are restrictions on this property that prohibit the obstruction of navigation, marine navigation, and maintenance of the waterway. The City of Alameda planning manager says this means any construction would need to go around any vessels passing through and allow water to flow freely. The buyer would also have to consider sea level rise and the stability of the lagoon floor. Does that not make building anything there impossible? And the real estate agent says some offers have actually come through, but they're still waiting for the right buyer. She told ABC7, I've had some unusual properties in my career, but this was a first. Can you imagine being the guy that spent $300,000 for this plot of land? And I think people kind of look at the prices in Alameda, which are up more than 7.5% in comparison to last year. The median home price in Alameda, the city of, $1.3 million. So the guy's looking at $300,000 for this lot. All right. Who is going to buy that? I can't believe they've even had anyone sign up to say, yeah, sounds like a good idea. Let's do it. No. What a waste of money. Anyway, I saw that story and I thought, boy, did that guy get swindled. No wonder it was being sold at auction. There's this isn't really a story. This is just more of something kind of exciting to me. The pictures from the James Webb telescope. And I found this conglomeration of them on Popular Science. And I thought it was worth sharing with you because the pictures are so, so amazing. These are the 8 most extraordinary pictures from the James Webb telescope. This first one is a globular cluster of orbits within the galactic bulge of the Milky Way. How cool is that? And according to the caption, they say this was a challenge observing these star clusters until the James Webb telescope came along. Pretty cool. Here's another one. These are the 8 favorite James Webb telescope images of 2024. They say that capture the awe-inspiring glory of space. Look at that. It almost looks like the inside of a vessel or something, like a human blood vessel. This is inside the large Magellanic Cloud, which is a satellite galaxy of the Milky Way. Is this N79? It's a massive star-forming complex, and it impressively pumps out stars fast and far faster than similar regions in our galaxy. How cool is that? Yep. Here's another one. Look at that. It looks, when you look deep in there, like you're seeing something special. This is the heart of 1 Zwicky 18, or I Zwicky 18. It's a 2 burst of star formation. In a regular dwarf galaxy, first identified in the 1930s, the scientists using Webb's powerful resolution and sensitivity in the infrared to look closer and study the life cycle of stars. Look at that one. 32 million light years from Earth, it is NGC 1433, a spiral galaxy with a luminous center. How beautiful is that? Cool. This next one is an infrared image of the Horsehead Nebula main. Inside its celestial blue-gray cloud, young stars can be seen sparkling. Look at that. I mean, wow, that's a wowzer, I think. This is hot, massive stars early in their lives lurking in the dust of NGC 604, the star-forming region located in the Triangulum galaxy, 2.73 million light years away. Look at that. How can we see something 2.73 million light years away? That's incredible. Look at this one. This is tucked behind large amounts of dust. The James Webb telescope captured young stars in the massive arms of NGC 1559, which is a barred spiral galaxy 35 million light years from Earth. Huh. I mean, how small do you feel right now? Data from the Hubble and the James Webb Telescope combined to capture this image of NGC 5468. It's a galaxy located about 130 million light years from Earth. So interesting. Wow. And that's it. Those are the 8 most amazing, most awe-inspiring images from the James Webb Telescope of 2024 so far. All right, I'm going to the chat before we end the show. What are you guys up to today? Is it a holiday for you, or do you have to work? What's your story? Doug says, I'm thinking the most beautiful stars I've seen were going to sleep in a sleeping bag in Big Basin State Park when I was a teenager. That's interesting you say that. The closest I've ever felt to the sky was at night on top of Mount Haleakala, which is a volcano in Maui. And you felt like so close that you could reach out and grab a star. That was the most amazing. So I'm glad you had an experience like that where something felt so special to you. Just hope these computer and AI generated interpretations of signals are really this beautiful. I'd like to think they are. Calvin says, warp drive in hyperspace. I want it now. Absolutely. Wes is drunk. Already, Wes? It's only 2 p.m. Well, California time. You're in Florida. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. We're giving it to you. You're good to go. Nick is working today. Oh, Nick. Well, at least we have jobs, right? At least you have a job. Yay. Well done, Nick. Way to go. Galactic Bulge sounds a little sleazy. I wondered, but hey, who am I to change their wording? Not a little bit. Portions Redacted said, coming in late on those phonetic names at the beginning of the show. Do you think the announcer didn't realize the standard names were there? So weird. Super weird. Maybe she just thought, well, the phonetics are more accurate, so I'll just go this way. But I think you have to, if you're going to do that, test yourself, right? Do a couple, and then go back and see what the names look like, and see if you got it right. Don't just launch into the phonetic names and not even compare and make sure that, what you think it sounds like is what it looks like. They had the wrong person doing that, announcing that day. Absolutely. Doug talking about the roller coasters. I've been on the Big Dipper on the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk so many times. I gave it up, but tons of fun. Yeah, the Big Dipper just turned, I think, is it 100 years old? And they have all kinds of sales and rides and festivities planned through the whole summer. So that's pretty fun. Talking about languages, Calvin thinks it's because some languages like English and Spanish are similar with the alphabet. Language like Arabic or Indian, not Native American, don't have writing that's similar. I think that those languages are harder to learn. As a matter of fact, looking at language for high school, my daughters wanted to take French, but it wasn't available. But what was available was Japanese. So she said, well, maybe I'll take Japanese. And I said, well, wait a minute. When you take French, you're learning a new language, but you don't have to learn how to write a different language like that. I mean, it's so much more complicated. I think I kind of turned her off of Japanese, which I hope wasn't a mistake, but it just seemed like so much harder. Teacher Lori says, yeah, separation areas of the brain for different languages makes no sense to her. Separate areas for oral and written makes more sense. Agree. Mama, hi Mama, says, my husband has a friend whose son speaks English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Mandarin. Wow. Some people are like that. I've always been really good at language, but not that good. And I don't think I've tested myself, but that language was always easier to me than math. It kind of was more up my alley. So I don't know. Talking about the stink bugs in San Jose. Yeah, well, the ones they studied were in California, so they're all over California. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for all the comments. Oh, Flo's says, went to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk on a school trip on Friday. After 100 years, can they make the Giant Dipper not shake so much? It's not the deals that were scary. It was the excessive rattling. Yeah, well, it's a wooden roller coaster. They say they have a team of maintenance people that work to keep it up and safe and everything else, but it's a 100-year-old wooden roller coaster, so it's probably going to be a little rickety. It probably always has been, too, I would imagine. Oh, the drops. Yeah. Woo. Oh, all right, you guys. Well, I hope you go forth and have a really, really good rest of your holiday. I will see you right back here tomorrow. It is Travel Tuesday. As always, if you want to email me or have any comments or stories to pass on, and I thank Lori for all the great story ideas she always sends. Even if you don't necessarily aren't looking for me to run it on the show, but you just want to share something, totally cool. Love the communication. KimMcAllister@gmail.com or Kim@theafterparty.live. Ooh, question about monetization returning. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. I can tell you that it's soon, but so here's the thing with YouTube. Apparently it's pretty complicated. If you make even one mistake, then you're put on the back burner for another 32 days. And I think my 32 days is just about up. So hopefully I'll be able to do it without any other issues. But if not, there's always PayPal, which the PayPal link is in the bottom of the show description and also in the After Party Live About tab as well. And as Wes pointed out, and is trying to help me with, which thank you for that information, Wes. It's not the link you click on, but you have to copy and paste it for now. But I'm working on Wes's instructions to fix that. So give me a minute because I'm not as technical as Wes, but I'm going to try. Oh, Cheryl has 4 years of Latin, which helps understand other languages. I bet you're a really great speller too. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the PayPal link. Absolutely. All right. I'm going as well. And I hope you guys have a really great rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow for the Nikki Maduro show at 10, the Mark Thompson show at 11, which is David K. Johnston Day. So it's going to be a really good one. And then we're back here for Travel Tuesday on the after party. But until then, drink up, Wes, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.